Has your sweetheart begun acting outright mean to you for apparently not an obvious explanation? It tends to be agonizing when somebody you love shouts at you, frosts you out, or directs savage sentiments toward you, particularly when you have no clue about why. Assuming you're really attempting to sort out why she's showing antagonism when it seems like you give only love and fondness, continue to peruse. We'll separate a few potential reasons she's being mean, the basic issues, guidance on the most proficient method to help her. And signs. Now is the ideal time to say that's the last straw. Why she's being mean. 1. She may very well be anxious. Assuming your sweetheart begins acting mean out of nowhere and she hasn't done as such previously, odds are she just had a terrible day or gotten terrible news that is making her disturbed. Perhaps she didn't get that advancement or a relative had a clinical panic. Assuming that she's anxious, give her space until she's open to discussing it and track down alternate ways of making her life tranquil. 2. Her main avenue for affection isn't being met. There are 5 ways to express affection individuals use to impart their fondness to one another: encouraging statements, gifts, actual touch, demonstrations of administration, and quality time. You might be showing your affection for her, however not in her main avenue for affection, which is causing her to feel underestimated and upset. 3. You might have accomplished something that furious her. Ponder your previous collaborations and attempt to find a second where you might have said, done, or failed to remember something that drove her crazy. It may not be quickly self-evident, so be aware of remarks or activities that might have been confused adversely. Then, apologize and make sense of how you assume you veered off track. 4. Your sweetheart might be misleading her pity and outrage at you. All of us are frequently ingrained with the deception that specific sentiments are terrible: outrage, bitterness, so we attempt to conceal them, covering them with additional socially okay sentiments: euphoria, harmony. Be that as it may, these awful sentiments actually need an outlet. Your sweetheart might be battling to possess her mistake or hatred at the time she feels them and unintentionally guiding them at you since you've made a profound place of refuge. 5. PMS or different chemicals might be compounding her indignation. PMS, premenstrual condition, which ladies go through one time each month, has a few side effects that influence close to home guideline, including tension, temperament swings, and misery. At the point when you add on the few incapacitating actual side effects like spasms, joint and muscle throbs, cerebral pains, and exhaustion, it's no big surprise she could respond somewhat more seriously or antagonistically to specific things during this time. 6. She may be ridiculously hungry. After our bodies go a significant stretch of time without eating, our glucose diminishes, and we discharge different chemicals to make up for this, including cortisol, the pressure chemical, and adrenaline. Both of these chemicals in our circulatory system make us more unsettled and overpowered, which can put on a show of being unpleasantness. 7. She has implicit and neglected assumptions. It's generally expected in connections for us to, deliberately or subliminally, make a plan for what our dynamic ought to resemble and how our accomplice ought to act. On the off chance that that assumption isn't met, we become upset and angry with our accomplice for not satisfying that ideal. 8. She might definitely disapprove of limits. Defining sound limits is fundamental in conveying to our accomplices what we are and aren't good with. In the event that your better half battles with defining limits, she might feel set off in light of the fact that you're crossing lines with her and utilize opposing way of behaving as a safeguard component. Thus, on the off chance that you haven't obviously settled your limits, she might be crossing a line of yours without acknowledging it. 9. She doesn't have the foggiest idea by what other means to certainly stand out enough to be noticed. For certain individuals, awful consideration is superior to no consideration. On the off chance that your better half acts in a mean or impolite manner, you're bound to answer, but adversely. Consideration looking for conduct is much of the time a broken side effect we convey with us from youth, particularly for individuals with guardians who didn't acclaim or give their youngsters positive fondness. 10. She might have been raised to show friendship along these lines. Assuming your better half was raised by overprotective and tyrant guardians, it's possible they put down firm stopping points for herself and afterward disregarded or debased her when she scrutinized these limits. They additionally possibly told her they were difficult for her since they cherished her, and she currently likens love with being no picnic for individuals. 11. You may be contradictory. Keep in mind, opposites are drawn toward each other and afterward they assault. On the off chance that you and your sweetheart don't share a ton for all intents and purpose, no genuine common interests, different social batteries, for example, one of you is outgoing, the other is independent, and different perspectives, that absence of association is probable making both of you baffled. This dissatisfaction can be setting off and she's being mean as a reaction to that trigger. 12. She might be experiencing discouragement. It's a typical misinterpretation that downturn simply implies pity. Other normal side effects of melancholy incorporate touchiness. A sleeping disorder, no rest causes outrage and stress, and fomentation at even the littlest things. In the event that your sweetheart is giving indications she's managing sorrow, her contentiousness is possible not at you but rather a symptom of this sad disease. 13. She's dealing with past injury. On the off chance that your sweetheart was in a useless relationship before you, be it heartfelt, non-romantic, or familial, she might have specific assumptions that you will cause her a similar aggravation. She may not have a real sense of reassurance or experience difficulty confiding in you, so snapshots of closeness might be trailed by snapshots of unpleasantness to assist her with genuinely removing herself on the off chance that something turns out badly. 14. She could have outrage issues. In minutes where your better half feels compromised, powerless, or vulnerable, she might involve rage as an approach to assuming back command. Nonetheless, assuming that fury is aimed at you, things can get monstrous. Assuming your sweetheart has a sudden emotional eruption, be patient and attempt to quiet her down overall quite well. 15. She needs to separate. Your better half may not feel like she can proceed with your organization together, yet she doesn't have the foggiest idea how to straightforwardly communicate that. Thusly, she's erupting as a type of driving you away to make the separation simpler. Tragically, this does is assemble hatred and make undesirable methods for dealing with especially difficult times for deplorability. While separations can be agonizing, feeling them in their full power permits us to develop instructions to deal with her ugliness. 1. Impart that your sentiments are harmed. Clear correspondence can be a lifeline in connections. It can kill hostility, advance closeness, and offer you a substantial potential for success to have your ground. Carve out an opportunity to converse with your better half one-on-one and tell her what her activities meant for you. Use "I feel" explanations, as opposed to "you" proclamations, and, if conceivable, offer arrangements on how both of you can deal with this pressure. 2. Put down solid stopping points. Laying out limits is essential to keeping up with your feeling of autonomy and self-esteem. Plunk down with your better half and obviously yet empathetically make sense of what you won't endure genuinely, intellectually, and additionally inwardly. 3. In the event that she's recently worried, assist with wiping out stressors from your lives. There's major areas of strength for your better half's antagonism doesn't have anything to do with you. Assuming you feel like her displeasure is being brought about by an outer occasion, work pressure, family, companions, or hormonal changes. Deal with tasks and family exercises you realize will cause her additional strain. Indulge yourself with a decent dinner so neither of you need to cook and can bond, all things being equal. What's more, share a portion of your number one pressure-easing exercises with her, like yoga, painting, or scrubbing down. 4. Look for proficient assistance in the event that she's battling with misery. Misery can draw out the most obviously terrible in everybody, except it's a typical sickness and there are a ton of assets accessible to help. Converse with her about how she's inclination and look online for a specialist that has some expertise in the issues she's managing. 5. Know when now is the ideal time to end things. In the event that you've had a go at imparting soundly, communicating your limits, and killing different stressors from your life, however your sweetheart is still pointlessly horrible to you, it very well may be an ideal opportunity to leave. Figure out a proper opportunity when it's simply you two and make sense of the purposes behind your separation. Signs your relationship may be poisonous. 1. She puts down you. There's a contrast among opposition and misuse. Assuming that your sweetheart routinely affronts you, embarrasses you, or verbally bothers you to cause you to feel little, this goes too far from mean to savage and unforgivable. 2. She crosses limits after you've plainly settled them. On the off chance that you've currently soundly imparted your limits and your better half won't respect them, this is a warning. It demonstrates she may not regard the relationship or have the option to keep a sound feeling of independence. 3. She lies as well as controls you. Everyone has mean minutes. It's the manner by which individuals respond sometime later that is important. On the off chance that your sweetheart denies or limits her aggression toward you, or she involves her opposing way of behaving as a method for inspiring you to do what she needs, this could be the indication of an oppressive relationship. 4. She gets rough. In the event that your better half begins getting genuinely forceful, this is an obvious indicator of misuse. Eliminate yourself from the circumstance as fast as you can and track down a protected area to stay until you accept you can get back securely. Converse with a dear companion, relative, or policing you feel like you could require security in ongoing connections. Understanding the reason why your sweetheart is being mean is the initial step to resolving the issue. From that point, correspondence, defining limits, and looking for proficient assistance if necessary can assist you with exploring through these difficult circumstances. Keep in mind, your prosperity and bliss are significant, and it's okay to leave a poisonous relationship.